So you were just telling me about some statistics and some ways that people are doing things to kids, and it was freaking me out. So we're going to talk a little bit about sex trafficking. Every parent's worst nightmare.
Lose sleep over this topic.
Oh my gosh. And I can't even imagine. First of all, just so people know the importance and why we're talking about this is incredibly prevalent in our area. Yes. I think I even heard like Ohio's like, I don't even know. Do you know the statistics in the top 5 or something
It's
states?
up there. Yeah.
That this is happening. So it's not even like this is a could happen, what if, doesn't happen here, happens in other countries, happens in other states. No, this happens here. So we're going to talk about it. Because I think I have some misconceptions about it, and I bet other people do too. I have heard that when it comes to trafficking kids, this idea of a total stranger coming up and snatching your kid away is sort of false, that it's done internally, that it's family members, friends of the family, people like that are getting kids into it. And as long as you don't have a crazy family and you care about your kids, then you're safe.
There's big money in trafficking. And so I've seen it where you're in a public area, lots of people around, and there are people that are just taking kids right off the street, distracting the parents, running up, grabbing them. Online, they're setting up these meets where come meet me at the park, and all of a sudden your kid goes there thinking that it's another, his age or her age peer, and somebody snatches them up. So you got to be super careful as a parent.
And so they're taking them right in front of their parents,
Yep.
and off they go.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder, maybe you know of statistics, in the event, God forbid, that happens, how likely is it that they can get away pretty quickly without...
Their networks are so sophisticated that kid will disappear and travel to a place where they could be sent overseas or to a different country where it's almost impossible to get them back from that point. There's a couple of documentaries where they followed a couple of rescuers that would go out there and they would track down kids that were missing, that were supposedly in these trafficking, and they find them. But they're not from good places. They don't keep them in good conditions at all.
Yeah.
And they sell them as meat.
Oh my gosh.
It's terrible.
So what are some things parents can do to avoid this? I mean, you don't want to just be a shut-in. You don't want to not ever let your kid go out and play. And, I always say back in my day, we were able to just get on your bikes and go. And the neighborhood kids are just playing. And when it's dark out, you come home. Do you think the days of just letting your kid go play are pretty much gone?
Man, you think of your parents and what they were paranoid about. And you're like, oh, that'll never happen. But, the horror stories that you see make it almost want to be overprotective because, the upside is that you protect your kids from getting into those networks. The downside is that you really have to limit some of their freedoms to be able to go to the park and baseball games and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's only so much you can do as a parent. You can, pretty much populate their brain and knowing that there are those people out there, and here's what to look for. If an adult is acting funky, if they're trying to get you to do something like go in a private place or in a car, totally steer clear. Like run home, find an adult, find a police officer, something like that. And then monitor the crap out of their internet. You really have to pay attention when they're playing online games, that there isn't setups going where adults are posing as kids.
Yes, and that's rough because I feel like that's so prevalent now too with games like Fortnite and Roblox and all kinds of games that you play with people all over the world, really. Yeah. You don't really know who they're talking to. And if they say, hey, let's meet up at a park or something, well, now your kid has just told them where they live, what park is nearby, when they're going to be there.
How likely would your kid, if somebody just asked an innocent question like, hey, where are you from? How likely are they going to give away their city?
Yes.
And then they made it this much more likely that they become a victim.
What grade are you in? What school do you go to? Thinking they're just talking to other kids. Yeah,
and so what I did is when I first started on the internet, I was paranoid. And so I made up an alter ego that had information that was completely different than my own. So when somebody asked me a question, I didn't have to deny it. I would just give them the alter ego. So his name was Ken, and he was from Chicago and he went to school, whatever. And that way, if they're collecting information, they're collecting on a fictitious person because it doesn't matter. It's not like you're ever going to meet that person.
That's a good idea.
So make up information that you give them. And another thing is, this goes not with trafficking, But same thing with those security questions that you answer to be able to get into your accounts.
Yeah.
Make stuff up, right? Don't
use a real answer.
Yeah, exactly. So what school did you go to? Use one that is not you. Because think about when somebody tries to fake you into giving your security, they can get information about you by tricking you into giving a security. So like, let's just say you got an Amazon password reset thing, and then you just answer those simple questions. You wouldn't think anything of it, right?
Right.
But you just gave them probably the school that you graduated from, what your pet's name was, your mother's maiden name, like all of this information that they can use. So make up completely fake stuff.
Oh gosh, and then the challenge is remembering.
No,
what you
will.
made up.
No, I made up one, and then I just used that same one because it's no harder. I didn't have to make up a different one every time.
Just your alter ego.
My alter ego, yeah.
Yeah. So my concern is too is how do we keep our loved ones safe without maybe instilling a new form of constant anxiety into them, feeling like they've got to grow up in a world of creating an alter ego and lying to people and feeling unsafe when they go somewhere and constantly wondering what information they gave to who. Is there a way that maybe we're not raising a whole other generation of extremely anxious kids?
Well, I think you use the multi-pronged approach, like severe awareness, so that you tell how this stuff goes on. So when I'm in the Roblox world or one of these games, I'm watching how these people interact. So I'm seeing what's going on, how they're scamming, how they're doing identity theft. I'm collecting information, how this stuff goes down, so I could turn around and say, hey, this is why they're doing it. If they have awareness that somebody wants to hijack their credit card or steal their information, then they can kind of assemble that themselves. The second thing is the intelligence to be able to outsmart, like using fictitious information or what the strategies on how to thwart every one of those advances. And then the third one is being able to defend yourself, like really having the physicality or the run away from danger instinct so that you can avoid it.
Yes, I was just thinking that too. When I was a kid, our two measures were one, a family safe word, that if anybody came up to you and said, hey, your mom said to come with me, I'm picking you up, she wasn't able to make it. Okay, well, what's our family password? And if they don't know it, you run.
Absolutely.
And God forbid you are actually just physically grabbed, you gouge eyes, you scream, you do all kinds of different things to learn how to fight back.
Yeah, a friend of ours, Mike, he started a jiu-jitsu and taekwondo deal, and it's specifically for kids. So he takes scenarios that if somebody grabs your arm, like how to defend and slip that arm grab, to give you, even if it's giving you a 10% advantage to escape, you do it.
That's what I've heard is they say no matter what it is you do, make it difficult. Make it difficult for them to drag you away. You don't want it to be easy. And so any amount of fighting, screaming, yelling, kicking you can do, it all helps.
Yep. I don't think any parent can make it 100% not a chance, but you can do things that give you a little bit better of a chance.
Awesome. So yeah, takeaway, it is happening. It does happen in this area. It's very prevalent, and there are things you can do to keep your kids safe.